This is great. Great. This is exactly what I wanted to tell you. This meeting is being recorded. So if you want to remain anonymous, you can just turn off your camera so we can not see who you are. And you can also just change your name if you'd like. So they will be totally not recognizable via on our YouTube channel. On a normal day, or we will have much more people listening to the offline session. So that's being published on our YouTube channel, as I just said. So great that you are here right now. First of all, welcome to you all. And a special warm welcome to the members of the Scholen voor Ondernemend Leren, the Schools Entrepreneurial Learning Foundation in the Netherlands, which we have more or less our main guests today. And a warm welcome to Louise Greenwood, which just joined us as a co-speaker, and to Aristos Topsaltis. And I really hope, Aristos, that I've pronounced your surname in the right way. For those two people, Louise and Aristos are actually on holiday. So like I told them before, I feel kind of guilty for ruining their Friday afternoon by asking them to present there. So this is more or less my welcome to you. And I will now start sharing my screen so you can see what I see. And I will start then my presentation to you. So if everything is all right, and luckily I have Lucia with me, who will just assist me if I do things kind of wrong. So I am Frederick Verboon. I'm the director of the European Scholars Association, but also a member of the board of the Schools of Entrepreneurial Learning. So this is the agenda we have for you today. In this agenda with lots of videos. So we thought we would try to not only try to inform you, but also try to a little bit amuse you as well on this Friday afternoon. As you see, so our agenda is we'll start off with a video. That is an introduction of a Dutch school which works with NEMESIS. We have implemented NEMESIS, but also includes more or less an introduction of NEMESIS project itself. Then I will do a presentation, introduction to social innovation education, and also how it relates to entrepreneurial education. Then we will have the practitioner's perspective. It's a video that is being presented by Louise Greenwood. And right after her video, Louise will be available for a question and answer session. So after that, she could leave us and join and just enjoy her holiday. Then Aristos will discuss the key deliverables from the NEMESIS project and how, from a school perspective, you can implement it. And then the last one is a video of Just Dig It. That is what we call a social innovation practitioner. And I believe that Just Dig It is quite well known throughout Europe of what the work has been in Africa. And then I will leave you with the last session is how to get involved with NEMESIS. And the really last part of the session is a question and answer part. So what I will do right now is I will start off with a video of NEMESIS introduction and of an implementation of a school in the Netherlands called the School of Wai. So hopefully it will work and hopefully the sound will work as well. Please enjoy.
NEMESIS is a project to create and test an educational model to bring social innovation philosophy to primary and secondary students. Starting in 2017, 13 members from 7 EU countries have worked together to develop a model that embeds the expertise and philosophy of social innovation into schools. NEMESIS has provided access to materials, resources and networks to help educators add social innovation principles to their teaching practice. Our approach is fundamentally practical. The project includes education and social innovation experts, but also social entrepreneurs and schools. NEMESIS stands for Novel Educational Model Enabling Social Innovation Skills. It is also the name of a Greek goddess of distributive justice. Today we will visit the primary school of Wai in IJsselstein, who have implemented the NEMESIS lesson plan. We We've spoken to the teacher and the student on how they implemented NEMESIS in this project and what it has brought for them.
Social innovation is, for example, an organization like Just Dig It. We saw why the problem was problematic and also thought, hey, can we come up with a solution? And that's not only something that helps our own organization, but also helps the world. And they did the same thing at the school by creating the Green City with several groups.
During this project, we first had to listen to a bunch of people, but those people were actually just our teachers. We had to listen to their wishes, and then we had to draw and build the scale. Then we had to sketch, and then we had to start with paper mache. Then paint it, and then it was actually finished.
Why we chose for social innovation is because we want the new generation, the children, to get started with thinking about problems in our world. And you want to prepare them so that they will start thinking in new solutions for the problems that are out there now. I already see an improvement and a change in behavior of the children, especially because they are dealing with other people with a need for the problem and for the project. And so they immediately take a step that they did not dare to take at first. I just asked about it during the last lesson. Would you approach someone to make your plan? And now they say, yes, I would. And they also are more confident in it than before.
How it went? The groups were made by the teacher, and we all got a section. So, C2 for example. First we discussed what should be on which section with the whole unit. And my group got C2, the hotel.
Well, this school has deployed social innovation on this part of Planet in Action. And they have done a project with us, which is really about greening the city. And they've also done that with the final years of primary school, group 6, 7 and 8. And that ensures, with innovations, creativity and ideas, that they can go a long way with groups at school.
What I like the most? I would say building the hotel, doing the paper mache for the buildings, but also painting and crafting, and just the working together and just the feeling.
I think they mostly learned about what sustainability means, and about what they can do. Mostly on what they can do themselves, and which step they can take first. And especially to think in solutions and not in problems. It is very meaningful, and not only to yourself, but you can give it to them. You're not only giving for yourself, but also for the children and also for the world. And it feels very meaningful. It gives lots of energy. Yes, very nice to do so.
Interested in social innovation education? Please visit our website and join the movement.
Okay, welcome back to this to our presentation. And the next slide will be about NEMESIS overview. So for the next couple of 5 to 10 minutes, I will just try to explain to you what the basic idea behind social innovation is. So what's being built of, what the elements are, and how it differs from entrepreneurial education. So if you go to the first slide, you'll see that we have, let me see if I can try this one. Yeah, this one's better, I guess. You see that the NEMESIS model, it's like the video already described, is a model for acquiring social innovation skills. And in order for kids to become the future social change makers. I don't want to read up a thing that you already see on your screen, but it's made up of 3 very important bullets. I said 2 very important parts. First of all is be able to get an entrepreneurial mindset, because you need to be entrepreneurial to make the change happen. Then it's about being a social thinker. It's about being creative. It's about working together. And the last bullet is about being able and to see that we need a social change. So that's more or less not a skills, but more or less a knowledge or an awareness factor that we have. And I will go through those 3 bullets in the next couple of slides. There are a lot of similarities between the social innovation education and entrepreneurial education, let me see. So, and you could also say, or you could even say that entrepreneurial mindset is more or less a foundation of being able to become the future change maker. So, and when you look at the competence model that is being developed by the European Commission, you see that a lot of these competences that you see here right now, I believe there was 16 competences, are also being acquired to the NEMESIS network. And that's why a number of the schools that are in our network of NEMESIS were future or were past schools that were also interested in entrepreneurial education as well. So we regard this model as being the foundation in which we have further built upon. So if you look at entrepreneurial education itself, because there are a lot of similarities between entrepreneurial education and social innovation education, you see that there have been a lot of research. And they all point out that the research, the effects of entrepreneurial education has been very, very positive towards the kids. So if you know that your basis is right, and entrepreneurial education is a very, very good innovation, although entrepreneurial education has been around for over 20 years, you know that implementing something that is built upon a very good foundation can only be a very good addition as well. So the second bullet that we tried to, where I'll try to discuss is about being creative, being social. So that's why we are focusing on a very good good basis, but then it also needs to focus more, if you just compare to entrepreneurial education itself, on a couple of items. And that's collaborative thinking, to be able to work on a solution within a group, to be able to develop empathy, respect, creativity, listening competences, and confidence. So these 6 bullets are very core to the model, to the competence model that I will show you in the next slide, that we are basing social innovation education on. So it is a foundation. On top of the foundation, we have built the content that deals with these kinds of competences. So if you put everything together, you've got the basis of the education, then they add up from competence perspective with regard to empathy and so on. And you make people and you make children aware that our world really needs to change, because there's a lot of inequity. If you put it all together, you have a new educational model, and you see all the different competences that we try to work on in the overview on the right side of your screen. So it's self-efficacy, it's empathy, it's taking the leap of value creation and so on. And certainly value creation, to be able to recognize that people have some kind of needs, empathy, and to be able to transfer that empathy and the value for other people is very key to the project that we are currently working on. So if you look at the examples, what have the kids created? You'll see, if you look at the NEMESIS website, there are a lot of different projects that we have done. And you'll see, for example, a project describing how a neighborhood was helped for example, people with visual disablement. You could see a school has introduced a kind of a neighborhood green garden, so people have access to all kinds of vegetables, and they can work on the green garden itself. And there's a lot of really good ideas that have been done. And with even the smallest project, like for example, cleaning up the neighborhood to make more people to be able to really give a boost to the neighborhood, or to implement just a few trees in a street without any green at all, really helps the neighborhood. And those are really fine examples of NEMESIS projects being executed by the schools. So that leaves me with the next presenter, and that's Louisa Greenwood. Louisa Greenwood is more part of the management of the Willow Tree Academy, and they've made a video of what their perspective is, of what the practitioner perspective is. So Louise, could you please come in and further introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry I'm in my car. As Fred said, it is the holiday this week, so unfortunately the children won't. 1 second. Can you hear me, Fred? Okay. Yeah, so unfortunately the children aren't in school today, but they have made a video for you to talk about some of the competencies that Fred's just discussed there, and how they've developed their skills within social innovation, and how that's changed them as a person and made them more socially aware, and where they want to take that thinking for the future. So I really hope that you enjoy listening to the children present. And then please feel free to ask any questions at the end if there's anything that you want to clarify or discuss further. Is that okay, Fred? Are you okay to play that for me?
Absolutely, yes. Do you want me to play it for you?
Yes, please.
I can see that you are actually in a car right now. Is that correct?
I am in my car. Yes, I didn't have time to get home, so I thought I needed to get on straight away.
Okay, well, I'll try to start up your video, and I
Thank
think
you.
it would work. So I'll go back to my screen. Let me see, where are we right now? Yeah, okay. So please, everybody, turn up your sound, because the sound is not that great, but I think it would work.
We've got children involved in NEMESIS projects this year, 3 in particular, which I know our Year 6s have really enjoyed. One was looking at our calendar for the front of school, because we looked at our local area during lockdown and we knew that people would be struggling with their mental health and physical well-being as well. So the children really took that on board and wanted to improve that issue. So as people walk past school in the morning or as part of their daily walk, they could see an activity they could do which would really benefit them. And we knew that actually that once people had done that and come to have a look around, that word would spread and other people would want to get involved within our project as well. And that really showed that there was a real benefit for our children, and the impact on the community was there for them to see.
We have been working on 3 NEMESIS joint projects, one with Abbey School looking at the high streets of the future, a wellbeing calendar which involves the local community, and new nature provision, the Leaf Centre.
Our wellbeing calendar is produced every month to share wellbeing ideas. We really hope this has helped our community through the pandemic.
The church helped us develop our wellbeing.
I think the children have definitely improved on their empathy skills, their respect skills, and that's really come through with the calendar project. I think one thing which really does show is how much they want to drive that project themselves and take the lead within that, and actually interact with different members of our community. So getting involved with the different church groups and our local councillor to see actually how they can extend that project further themselves, rather than it being directed by myself or the teachers.
Involved with an ongoing linked project with Abbey School, where we are gaining skills in empathy, confidence, communication, creativity, design, and friendship.
First, I was worried about meeting new people, but after being part of the NEMESIS, I am now more confident.
In the project, I have used creativity because we did a lot of design work, and we designed as shops, and then we made them into a 3D model in the end, and I really
For
enjoyed it.
the project, I wouldn't speak to new people, and now I feel confident to do so.
In our project with Abbey School, we had to make our own shops and go on a Zoom call about it and explain what we did, and it made me feel a bit more confident.
I really enjoy meeting the other children from Abbey School, especially when we meet face to face. This has helped my communication.
Even though I didn't speak a lot, I really enjoyed the meeting the new children, especially face to face. It has helped with my communication skills.
In the project, I've gained confidence because I have got to talk to lots of different people and listened to their ideas and talked to them.
A lot of other children onto Zoom calls, and eventually we met up in real life. This really helped with my communication skills.
I like designing my bike shop, and it boosted my self-esteem.
During filming the video, although we all had our own different sections, it worked really well to put them together because we all listened to each other's ideas, and when it all came together, it worked really well.
I have enjoyed helping others to achieve their outcomes for their
the project, I wouldn't speak to new people, and now I feel confident to do.
So the children self-assessed themselves at the start of our project against the different competencies, which they then did again further down the line at different points to see how actually they'd improve within them. There was a marked improvement within the children's understanding and showing of empathy, and one of the other values of showing respect, not just for their local community, but for the wider world, which really developed. And also there was a marked improvement within their communication skills, not just amongst each other, but within that wider community as well. And it really showed how much they understood that social change which they were doing within the project. So Ruby, how do you think you're going to use the skills you've learnt in Nemesis in the future?
I think I'm going to use them because I've got a lot more confidence. So I'll be using my confidence more. Because like before we started doing all the projects and the Nemesis things, I'd probably be quite nervous, but now I've gained a lot of confidence since starting them.
Yeah, and do you think they've helped you with the things you enjoy, like out of school as well? So some of the acting projects and things. Why is that then, Ruby?
Because I've like outside of school, I've also started doing more things like I've out of school I did this. I did a performance in front of my guides group, which has helped me with confidence.
Yeah, good. And do you think it's helped you to interact with other people more?
Yeah, I do, because I've started talking to a lot more people, and like I'm not as shy. Yeah.
Good. So Ruby, what would you like to be in the future, and how do you think the skills you've developed will help you to achieve that?
Well, I want to be like a singer and actress. So I think that the confidence that I've gained will help me a lot, because I will be performing on stage and things if I like become the singer and actress.
And what about if you're the lead person? How do you think the skills will help you with the other people around you?
Well, I think that the skills that I've learned will help me to communicate with the other people around me.
Good. Yeah. And what about if somebody's struggling with like learning lines or learning lyrics to a song? What do you think you'd be able to do?
Then I will help them to practice and memorize them, because I now have the skills to know how to help people.
So, how do you feel about being involved in the Nemesis project?
Good, because no one else is like, well, there's a lot more people in Nemesis, but because like there's like only like kind of us who've been meeting, it's kind of good, because like you feel like you're being like treated.
Yes, you feel like it's a treat to be involved in something different to what you normally do.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about working with lots of adults? How are you finding that?
I don't like that.
You don't like that bit? Why
don't
you
like
that, Louis?
I don't know.
Do you think it's a bit scary talking in front of people? Yeah. What about you, Hannah?
I feel scared to be in front of people talking to them, because they're more older than us and they're like high and they're just scary.
It's just a bit scary for you, you think? What about moving the project forward then? What different ideas do you have about what we can do next? So we've been up and looked at it, haven't we? We've done some designs. So what do we need to do next, do you think?
On the walls, when I said that we could make them all different colours, like for red could be right angry, and then for green could be like happy, and then like yellow is like a normal face.
So you think thinking about the colours might be something we need to do in our next meeting? Yeah. So we know Ben's coming to your classroom, isn't it, to have a look at your designs, the architect. Miss Harrison's emailed him, so they're coming in to have a look at them. So do you think you've got some good ideas on there?
I didn't do one because I kept doing it all wrong, and I didn't do it.
So you weren't happy with how you'd done it?
I couldn't do it, but I've got them all ideas in my head though.
Your ideas are in your head, so how do you think you could show those differently?
Because like in my head, I've got like for the art room, them things that I made with hands and ironing things. Then I could make some more, or I could make some more, and then like I could stick them up in art room.
That's a good idea. Are you looking forward to the next meeting, you three?
Yeah.
How do you feel about seeing the Leaf Centre that you helped design and build finally start to go up near our school?
Excited, and then when I'm in Wingfield, I want to come and see it and see what it's like inside, because we helped like invent it, what's going to look like.
Well done, Jaden. Hannah?
Well, I'm actually happy and excited because we've accomplished our goal and what we've tried to do, and it's actually happened, and I can actually see it from my house, so I'll be able to see the roof of it and everything.
Oh, excellent. Louis?
It's kind of cool because we've worked like 2.5 years, nearly 3 years, and it's coming off.
Yeah, nearly 3 years. So your first ideas 3 years ago have finally happened, haven't they?
Yeah.
So I can't wait for you to come back and see it when you move up to Wingfield. So thank you.
We really enjoyed the NEMESIS project as they are all our own ideas and not the teachers.
Thank you for sharing that, Fred. I think the video at the end was really powerful in terms of looking at where the children were 2 years ago and how they were speaking in front of the camera, in terms of how they've progressed in the confidence, the self-esteem. They're now willing to engage with adults and make a difference to the community. And the building that you saw at the end is going to be our new nurture provision. And those children are going to be moving on to comprehensive school now. So their vision that they started with has actually come into fruition. So I'm really proud of those 3 children and how far they've come just from being involved in NEMESIS. So thank you, Fred. I don't know if anybody has any questions or anything.
Yes, but I'd like to open the floor for anybody to ask some questions to you, Louise. I certainly do have one question to start off with, so the rest can just think about a good question to you. So my question to you is, Louise, if you look at the teachers that you have at your school, how did they react to social innovation education? What was their opinion? How did it influence the attainment of teachers within your school? Could you please reflect a little bit on that, please?
Yeah, I think at first our teachers were really nervous. It was something completely different than what we've done before. So we have done lots of enterprise projects, but they've been mainly about the children making things for the Christmas fair and making products to sell to parents to make a profit. So they've never actually been involved in the social innovation side, where they've looked at how, they can make the world a better place, look at their own community in which they live and how they want to change that for the better, so that they're not moving out of area. They're staying where they are and they're proud of where they live. That was really important. And our teachers have been on that journey now for 3 years. And they really enjoy delivering the curriculum in that way, making it linked to the topics in which they teach. So we do quite a lot on poverty and pollution. We look at kind of the environmental side of things. So they've made kind of NEMESIS part of what we do. And all our children, we have 351 children in school and 13 teachers, and all of them are fully on board with the philosophy behind social innovation. And they've improved their confidence as well in terms of delivery of that model of teaching.
Great, thank you very much for your answer. Does somebody have a question to Louise? You can just unmute and just ask it to Louise, please. Petra, I see that Petra has raised her hand. You can, if you look at the bottom side of your screen, you can just, with reactions, you can just raise your hand. So the first one goes to Petra van Haren. Petra, please go ahead.
Thank you, Fred. Louise, can you say something about the process? Social innovation is a content, is an understanding in the society, but where lies the point that it is meaningful to both the teachers and the children, and how do you introduce a concept which is in theoretical ways known, but how do you transfer it to the team and to the dialogue in the team?
Thank you. We tend to look at close to home first. So they look at the area in which they live. We might do a walk around our local area. So they might go past the house where they live. They might look at how where the local shops are, or they might look at actually the town centre. And they will come up with, first of all, any issues that they may have in their local area that they would like to solve. So it might be from a problem from their point of view. So we try to make sure that all the ideas come from the children. So they might be passionate about something. So at the moment, one of our last projects was about the children being frightened of older children on the street. So there were some teenagers near the local shops, and our younger children who were only 11 were frightened of visiting the shops. And they wanted to know about how they could make their place safer for themselves and for their grandparents, because they were saying that grandparents were feeling intimidated in the local area. And we worked very closely with our secondary school where the children go next. And the teachers there got on board, and the children came to speak to our children and told them that it was just a meeting point. It wasn't anything to be frightened of. And they'd be willing to have conversations with them about when they were at the shops or visiting the local area. So it tends to very much be led by the children rather than staff, if that makes sense. But starting quite small, first of all, and then thinking more about global issues such as pollution and things like that, where our older children go to Northumberland and they look at water pollution and litter and kind of environmental side of things.
Well, but I actually also meant when the concept itself also changed, that the word social innovation, is there a kind of awareness amongst teachers, or when are you going to use this kind of words in your curriculum? So when are you going to make it from a way of life to a concept that is actually integrated not only in the acting but also in the papers of the school?
Yes, it is. We started the journey 3 years ago. So at first we didn't use any of those words. The children only knew the word enterprise. And again, it was related to money, making money, how they go out and set a business up, for example. But now it's very much about a skills-based curriculum. We want our children to have the empathy, the understanding of others, develop that communication and language, creativity, and being able to work with different types of people in our society. Because one of the projects the children were talking about in the film, they've been working with a special school and understanding children with special educational needs. And some of our children were really frightened of that experience. And it's taken 6 to 12 months to get that confidence up where, as they were talking about, it was really nice to meet them in person. Because of the pandemic, the meetings have all been online, and the children were actually able to meet them last week in person. And you could see that kind of fear and anxiety of meeting someone that might be different from them has really kind of grown their confidence and their understanding of others. So now it's fully integrated in the curriculum, and our children talk about skills and competencies. I'm not sure I understand. If that makes sense.
Yes, thank you very much.
We've got on the chat, we've got a question from a person which name I cannot see. So I really...
It's Italy, Fred. That is Italy. The blonde
Italy,
lady.
great. So we've got a question from Italy. Please.
Yes, from Maria. Hello,
Thank
Fred.
you. Hello.
We are all on the verge of change, and change courage. At the moment in Italy, we're moving on a summer plan, which aims at recuperating whatever we have lost during the pandemic. And my question is for you. Wellness for the children is, of course, wellness for the teachers and the whole territory. In your project, are you considering information for the parents and grandparents on this kind of social innovation and educational move?
Our parents are fully aware of NEMESIS. We talk about it all the time. It's part of our school website and our newsletters to parents to talk about social change. And our parents are very much part of our co-creation labs. So we invite parents who are available to come and join in our meetings. We've had a parent recently who works for the local council in terms of improving the area around school, and she very much wants to get involved. So now some of our parents are actually coming into school with their own ideas and saying, can we do this now? I've actually noticed that this might be a problem. Could we look at this? And it's been very much kind of making the community aware. So it's not just a school-based project, but it's part of the community and getting the word out there and spreading that with lots of people. We use Twitter quite a lot to spread the messages that we want to get across.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. Does somebody else have got a question for Louise? Oh, Jen, please go ahead.
Hiya, everyone. Can you hear me all right, Fred?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So I just wanted to say as well, with regards to the previous question about how you bring that language into your school and how you make it meaningful, because you're right, it's new. And when we began this project, none of the teachers we worked with had heard of the term social innovation, and it's because it didn't exist at the time. So I did some training of teachers with Louise, and we often introduced it firstly by kind of sharing a video showing what it looks like in action, and then going to the theoretical and pedagogical side behind it, just to give teachers the kind of practical idea of what this could look like in reality. And then, like you say, but how do we get to this point? You know, how do we start it in our school from a point of not knowing it at all? And the way that we approached that was through presenting, for example, the school we did the training with in the UK, myself, Louise and her colleagues presented some information on how to do it. And we have a handbook that gives a background to the theory and the pedagogies and the philosophy of social innovation education, as well as very practical steps on how to get that into your school. And it also gives kind of definitions of what it is, including the language. So Louise mentioned co-creation labs, which, you know, if you've not been doing it already, would be a new term. And so we began to introduce it like that, and then try to take teachers through what a co-creation lab might be like. There are steps that are detailed in the handbook, but that, you know, taking them through that process. And then Louise's school, for example, mapped the social innovation competencies that Fred shared in the first PowerPoint with their own school competencies. Other schools I've worked with have, sorry, I realised I didn't even introduce myself. I'm on the NEMESIS project team. That's how I know so much about it. Yeah, some schools already had competencies, so they were seeing, you know, can we combine it? Do we want to? Do we need more? Do we just take the ones that we need that we don't have already? Some didn't have any at all, and so they just use those ones. So it can be a very flexible model, which helps implementation. I hope that made sense.
Yes, it did. Thank
you.
Can I ask a question on top of that, because it's in fact a continuation of it? I already had a question about how to introduce it into my line of subject, because I'm teaching language and literature, Dutch, and communication and language. It was named, so that's how can I introduce it into my lessons. Especially because I'm teaching special educational needs kids, so kids that are in a way handicapped, mentally challenged a little, but mostly with all kinds of things like not trusting, anxious, have fear, don't dare anything, are very, very much not involved. And I think it would be nice for me and for my kids to build on those competences. That sounds really, really making sense, very practical. And so I'm also interested in the handbook that Jan mentioned. So where can I find that? It would be helpful.
I will talk about that. Sorry, I will talk about that a bit later on in the next presentation of where the materials are.
Okay.
And where to find. But on your example with the literature, for example, we had one school in Greece, and they were implementing the bench of the friendship for people. If they feel lonely, they can go and sit there, and someone else come and join them. Blah blah blah. But at another stage, they took that project outside the school, and then they started writing stories for the elderly. So it was a literature combined with actions of social innovation to make the life of the elderly a bit better through the stories that they were writing. So the practical aspects of that was literature, creative writing, but then the output was actually something that will help someone else's life and make it slightly better.
Well, that sounds really interesting. I'm looking forward to that.
And
Thank
also
you.
parts in combination with other teachers, actually, communication and spreading the word is also part of the project. So writing different types of communication items could be one of the outputs. From blogs to newspapers to leaflets, things like that. With
that's in my subject
that
totally.
Could be something, yes.
Yes. Well, thank you. Yeah, looking forward to the next subject. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much, Il, for your question. I thank you very much, Louise, for your answers. And that's actually a very good bridge to our next presenter. It's Aristos. Aristos will be talking about the key deliverables on how to implement social innovation education at your school. So please, Aristos, take the floor.
I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, great.
Yes, okay. So the whole idea of that presentation is exactly that, to guide you a little bit into more practical items that we have produced. From what do I need to do as a school, to what do I need to do as a teacher, what do I find what I need, and so on. And I'm going to present you not everything we have created, but the core items that you might need to implement social innovation into your classroom or into your school. If we start from a more managerial perspective, for example, you're a head teacher or a deputy head and you're considering introducing social innovation into the classroom, the first step for me, I think, would be to check if the school is, at what stage the school is. Is it ready? Is it possible for us to introduce that? And we have created, actually, in that sense, ESHA was leading that action. It was the organizational change model. And there you can follow practical steps to identify the criteria and what is missing, where it's not missing from the school, and how to implement. And then there is also a guide to interpret the results and to identify what needs to be done next in order to introduce social innovation. All those resources are available on the website. Some of the things that I will present later on are in the process into publishing there, because we need to wait for the approval of the European Union first and then make them public. But everything will be available to everybody, and it's free access without any registration or anything else. And the link will stay the same, is resources if you go to our website. And then also, why someone would want to implement social innovation into the classroom? My short answer is because it works. We ran 1 year piloting evaluation that comes together with the work that Louise showed us into her school. But we were in a lucky position to have 5 schools from 5 different European countries working with us from the beginning. And in doing so, they help us developing the materials. They help us identify the needs of the teachers. They help us identify the training materials we develop and so on. So there is a whole, a very thorough deliverable on the first year of piloting and evaluation and how social innovation works, what is the development of the skills for the students, but also what is the development for the teachers as well. And that can be, this is already, I think, has been approved and will be available on the website and give you an overall idea of what has happened so far, the different projects the schools have created, and so on, just to give you the background. However, we have also a very thorough guide, step by step, to tell you, to describe how you can implement the NEMESIS Social Innovation Education approach. The unit that the students, teachers, and all the representatives, actually the stakeholders, are working together, we call it co-creation lab. And the meaning of a co-creation is that we're moving away from the traditional teaching and delivery methods to a more student-central. Of course, this is not a new idea. Other approaches have done that, but the new thing is that here we're not just talking about students and teachers, we're talking about the whole society. We're talking about parents committees, we're talking about local councils, we're talking about social innovation practitioners, and these are people who successfully have proven to solve social problems in the society. And their perspective, it can bring something new into the school. First of all, they can inspire students. They can show them that they're able to change their life and their society, their community. And they should be active, and they can start actions. They don't have to wait for other people actually to do the first thing. And also not just inspiring, but also guiding them through the steps. Part of that process was also to create a list with social innovation practitioners that specialize in different areas. And these are on our learning and content management system. And there, the different schools that might be interested in to implement social innovation into their practice can identify maybe useful stakeholders that can help them on with their project. Another part actually is that, of course, introducing something, it's not so simple. And one of the main steps missing very often has to do with the teacher training. We expect teachers to be able to read the textbook and then be able to implement new things. However, this is not possible very often. And then we have created an online environment that provides a very detailed and thorough teacher training. That online environment, of course, it's based on the work that has done from the consortium on developing teacher training materials, teacher training examples, approaches, and so on. And all those things will remain available to everybody and will stay accessible well beyond the duration of the project. It's there to stay. The address is this one. There is a simple registration process with a name just to keep track and be able to access everything. Then the next step is the online open learning platform. If the schools want, and depending on the type of the schools, if it's primary or secondary, there is an online environment that they can use to work together as a class. They can use to upload the materials. They can use it to communicate with others. And that's also available. That requires full registration and full privacy settings, because we recognize the need of teachers to keep private certain materials for the classrooms, to allow access to certain people, to divide roles, and so on. That it's also publicly available and will remain open well after the life of the project. and you can find the address there. However, we can also, of course, the meeting will be recorded, but we can also provide the presentations after the end of the project of that session, and maybe Fred can distribute it to you so you have access to those information as well. Another item that sort of we created due to the pandemic, it was we created a serious game. The idea of the game is to introduce the concept of social innovation and get a small taste of some of the projects that the schools were created. We created 6 different scenarios, and the scenarios were based on actual projects that the schools created. The idea is to introduce some definitions, some aspects to the students through game-based learning. So allow them to play, and it's something that can be played in the classroom. It can be played in the at home as well. Right now, it's available on 6 or 7 different languages. There is one more coming, and I would like to let you know that if there is an interest actually for us, we can provide you with the text. And if you would like to have it in your local language, this is something that can be done, provided that we have the translation. Another item actually that Jen talked earlier on, we produce a very detailed guide on how you can introduce social innovation as well, with practical examples, with templates, and that's a replication handbook that's also going to be available online through the resources. And it's a comprehensive guide with many different examples and templates of taking something from the theory and putting it into practice. Another thing, probably the last step on this one, because as part of that learning process, we identify that we have bigger and smaller projects. If you remember what Luis mentioned, this is a project that ran for 3 years, more or less, continuously. However, we have other projects that run for a week, could be a month, could be 2 months, depending on the needs of the area, depending on the school and on the teachers and the availability. So to assist the teachers on introduce social innovation, actually we created a lesson series that consists of smaller bites of social innovation that can be implemented in certain school hours. If I'm not mistaken, and Fred, you can correct me, 3 to 4 sessions with some workbooks, project-based lessons and work for the students, templates, and so on. So depending on the needs of the school, depending on the availability, and depending on the aims, we offer an alternative way in introducing social innovation into the classroom. And I think that's it for now. Thanks very much for listening. I'm open to questions, and I'm quite sure I've missed something out. It comes to mind, for example, that part of the social innovation, NEMESIS social innovation approach is the digital storytelling. At the end of the process, the students will produce their own videos with experience, or their own digital assets, if you like, with their own experiences describing the process. We have also created a very detailed guide on how to do that, assisting on the theoretical level, on the practical level. So there are a lot more things that they are available through the website and the platform that can assist you into implementing social innovation into your school settings. So I think that's the last work, and please, if you have any questions.
Aristos, could you please stop sharing your screen?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, does anybody have questions for Aristos? And I've already seen one coming by on the chat. That is the availability of the deliverables in other languages. Could you please elaborate on that one, please, Aristos?
The deliverables in other languages, no, they're in English. The game and the resources are available in other languages. For example, the platform can be tailored into other languages. The website also, but the deliverables themselves are not. Because we're talking about documents of 120 pages length. So it's very, very daunting to, the game is in Dutch, in English, in Spanish, in Greek, in Portuguese, in French, and also will come in the next few days in Romanian and in German.
Does anybody have a question? Then I've got one question for you, Aristos. We talk about the website and the portal of NEMESIS. Could you please elaborate a little bit on what we can do with the portal, what is being used for, and especially with regards to the liaison to the social innovation practitioners? What is their role in this project?
The role of the social innovation practitioners is to inspire, to show to the students and to the teachers that there are different ways into approaching social issues. And also during the development of a project from the students and the schools, to guide them if necessary, if needed, actually through that process. The difference between the website and the platform is the website is mainly our communication tool, brings our ideas and our work into the public. You can access all the documents and everything we have created. You can see examples of different projects, and you can receive newsletters and so on. To find all the necessary information if you would like to join the NEMESIS. And the platform, it's a learning content management system that the schools can register and create their own working areas. There you can create a group for your school or for your class, or even divide your classroom into smaller groups. You can communicate with other schools. You can upload material and documents that your students have created. So it's a collaborative working environment. And the different security restrictions are implemented depending of the teachers and what would you like to do. Also, the platform has the list of interested social innovation practitioners that they have agreed to work with the project. I think right now we're around between 130 and 150 on different areas with contact details that people can contact them and ask them for their support and help. And
thank you very much, Aristos.
I think that's it, yeah.
Does anybody have another question? No? Then
sorry, regarding to the question on the Italian, I said not getting in the Italian, but if you're interested, we can get in contact with us. I can send you the text, and if you provide us with a translation, because we don't have the means actually to translate into Italian, then we can do it and it will be available in Italian as well.
Thank you. So that brings us to our final part of this webinar, and that also related to social innovation practitioners. We've made a video of a session we did in the Netherlands that involved the social innovation practitioner called Just Dig It. And hopefully I can also give you a small impression of that session, of how they inspired some teachers.
Ik wilde heel kort even iets over Just Dig It vertellen en dan vervolgens jullie een film laten zien. Een 5 minuten film die denk ik heel goed weergeeft wat we allemaal doen. Maar even heel kernachtig, wat is Just Dig It? Just Dig It, nou, je ziet dan de schep in het logo. Die staat voor actie en die staat voor klimaat. En die staat met name voor klimaatverandering op een positieve manier. Klimaat is natuurlijk enorm veel in het nieuws, met name negatief. Omdat we met z'n allen echt iets moeten gaan doen aan het klimaat. Willen we over 10 jaar nu boven 2 graden opwarming uitkomen. Nou, wat Just Dig It doet is we vergroenen. En dat doen we door wat we dan noemen nature-based solutions. Dus het is eigenlijk een natuurlijke manier van vergroenen. Ecosystemen weer herstellen en op die manier de natuurlijke begroeiing weer terugbrengen, waardoor mensen weer van het land kunnen leven waar ze wonen. We richten ons met name op Afrika, omdat in Afrika het probleem het allergrootste is op dit gebied, maar ook nog heel veel te winnen. Dus we kijken heel erg naar wat er nodig is, maar met name ook wat er kan. Nou, dat zal zo meteen het filmpje ook laten zien wat we dan precies doen, maar eigenlijk maken we heel simpel gezegd verdroogd land weer groen en vruchtbaar. Nou, dat heeft dus als voordeel dat de mensen daar kunnen blijven wonen, maar tegelijkertijd ook dat groen neemt CO2 op. Dus we hebben veel te veel CO2-uitstoot, maar als we weer zorgen dat er genoeg land vergroend wordt, kan er ook weer veel meer CO2 worden opgenomen. En als we dat echt grootschalig kunnen doen, waar we nu met z'n allen naartoe werken, niet alleen wij natuurlijk, maar in samenwerking met heel veel andere organisaties samen, dan kunnen we in 2030 de eerste stap maken naar een klimaatneutrale planeet. Nou, dat zal nog even duren, maar we hopen dat in 2050 gerealiseerd kan zijn. Dus alle negatieve berichtgeving ten spijt zien wij met name dat het kan en dat het werkt. En, het kan, het werkt, schep mee is een van onze kreten ook in de campagnes die we doen. Dus ik wilde beginnen met jullie even een korte film te laten zien. Dan vervolgens gaan we even iets meer in op de hele context. En dan zal Senne met name ook ingaan op wat doen we allemaal, hoe creëren we met z'n allen die movement en hoe kan onderwijs en educatie, jongeren daar ook een hele belangrijke rol in spelen. En nou, het zou mooi zijn als we daar via jullie en via het netwerk en de scholen daar ook iets mee kunnen doen.
Together, we can have a big impact on water and food security, on biodiversity, livelihoods, migration, and our suffering climate. Hi, we are Just Dig It, here to show the world solutions, hope, and positivism. Here to restore degraded ecosystems and improve the lives of millions. We believe in grassroots empowerment, in the power of networks, in touching people's hearts and minds through communication and media, and in combining modern technology with age-old farming techniques. In Kenya, we have dug more than 100,000 water buttons so rainwater can enter the ground, making dry land green again. We harvested billions of liters of rainwater and added new exclusion projects in Amboseli National Park. We also implemented grass seed banks to empower Maasai women, benefiting their income and food security by bringing back nature. In Tanzania, we are teaching farmers the art of kisiki hai, an ancient technique to bring forgotten tree stumps back to life. We trained 1,300 farmers to become champion farmers. They went back to their villages to then train over 200,000 other farmers. We followed up by visiting their villages with a movie roadshow. Together with Lead Foundation, we educated and inspired them through film. We empowered 300 communities, reaching 1 million people and regenerating 2.5 million trees. To bring our story to the world, Havas Lems, our coalition partner and communication agency in Amsterdam, mobilized their Havas offices in Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, and Germany. They are all supporting us to attract new fans and funds through sponsored nationwide cross-media campaigns. Recently, we developed an innovative mobile donation platform. Via this app, farmers get paid for restoring their land by backers around.
Okay. Well, this is more or less an introduction video of Just Dig It. And the strength of this kind of cooperation is not that we want to promote putting new trees in Africa, but we do want to promote that if you look at every town we are living in right now, even a very affluent town of Katwijk, where I live in, just have streets without any single green item at all. There are streets without any trees, without any bushes, and that's kind of strange. So if we would have the power to use those social innovation practitioners as an example, to plant a tree, to plant whatever you like, something green within your own street, I think that would be the power that comes out of this kind of video. I'll try to share the last few slides that I've prepared for you with you. And that is actually, no, that is this one. So we go back to the last two slides of the presentation, and that is this one. It's more or less an end one. Aristo just talked to you about the lesson plan. And the lesson plan is just a mere example, not to replace everything we've done within NEMESIS, not at all, but it's just a starting point for schools who are not really convinced that they want to go down the social innovation education path. It's just a very easy entry because the NEMESIS lesson plan includes a just very crisp and clear lesson plan consisting of 6 lessons, including 2 project lessons in which every teacher, with every help there is within this lesson plan, can just implement it in a what we call a project-based way. So it's just to get a taste of social innovation education, and that will more or less inspire the teacher and, of course, the management of the school to really start working with social innovation. And all these deliverables are just described by Aristo and can be found on the portal. So for now, if you've got any questions, whatever at all, you can just send my email address. That's fred.verboon@esha.org, to all the contacts that you have, and we'll be happy to answer them and to get you in touch with the people who can get you down the road, even after this project has ended. So for ESHA, European College Association, this just doesn't stop with the end of the project, because it will continue. We do everything we can to help making students aware that our world needs a change, and to be honest, is more or less our age group, our people that are who have more or less been the cause of most of the problem, to be honest. So please help us making the world a little bit better in whatever aspect we can, and please share my email address, share this presentation, and share the link from the NEMESIS website to all your networks and communities that you are more or less leading. So we now have a last session planned, and that's called the final question and answer. So I'll stop sharing my presentation, and it's open to the floor to whoever has got a question for me, for Louisa, who's still in here, for Ristels. Please, if you have any question, now it's time to put in. Is there no question? Oh, sorry, Petra. Petra, please go ahead. Please unmute yourself.
Do you also provide with, call it a kind of a plan? I find it usually kind of difficult. Now I see a wonderful project. I'm very inspired. And then you want to bring it further in your country. Do you have any kind of strategy or some anchor points on how to do this? Because it's my finding that usually in the beginning it sounds easy, but if you want to do it from the position where we have our school leaders organizations, it's not always easy to bring it out to the schools. Are there any ideas, or maybe amongst the others as well?
Yes, absolutely. If I may answer that question, Aristos, if you please. In every country, there are some kind of groups of schools or associations that are currently working on this theme. So, for example, in the Netherlands, if I take an example, we've got 2 action groups. One is called Planeet in Actie, or Planet in Action, and the other one is called Scholen voor ondernemend leren, or in other words, Schools for Entrepreneurial Learnings. Both networks have committed to embrace and to use all the stuff that we have made with the NEMESIS project, and use it to first of all, to grow the network, and to help the people, all the schools that are interested in them. And we are now trying to set up cooperation with every single network that is interested in these kinds of stuff. So for example, in Ireland, we've got now connection with young social innovation. So they will be able to also help the schools within their country to implement this within the schools. So yes, it's absolutely a strategy. And also the members who are part of the NEMESIS project don't quit their job after this project. They will also be available to implement it. And within this group, we have got, for example, we've got practitioners like Louise, but we also got, for example, Jen Wall. And Jen Wall is an expert on this field. And I'm very sure that she will be able to help you whatever questions you have to assist these schools implementing social innovation education.
Yeah,
so
and that's in that regard, I want to ask a question. There was been said there was a teacher trainer in the online environment, and one had to register for that. Is this available free of charge?
Yes, and the registration is just the name and the type of school, actually the grade of school. So we know, just the bare minimum, and you don't need to wait for any approval. You set your password and you start within a minute.
Okay, and if you enter your school there, if other people of the same school, communication sometimes is a thing. If they are also trying to enter the same school, is that
as many as possible? It's up to the school, up to the people.
Doesn't matter.
Can accommodate thousands of people. Actually.
Okay, thank you. That's sufficient. Thank you.
Are there any more questions before we end this this call?
Yeah, you said Jan Wall was willing to help. Is there an email address or something if we want to ask her questions? Because it sounds really challenging.
Yes.
Yeah, I can write that in the chat now if you like.
Yes, please.
Yeah, but
just
you
try
can
to take it in.
Yes, but the central person who can send all emails to is me, Fred.
Okay, that's good.
And I'll make sure that you will, depending on the type of question you have, I'll connect you through to Jen Wall, to perhaps another consultant. In the Netherlands, we've got, for example, other people lined up. In Ireland, we've got other people lined up. Perhaps even Aristos, if there is some kind of a more theoretical or pedagogical question. So please send me an email. Of course, you can also send directly to Jen. Yeah, we'll be happy to help you. And Jen has just put her email onto the chat. So we are all here to help you. So we really want to help you, because it would be a very good, would be a shame that if this project ends, then the deliverables will not be used by the schools in our country.
Okay, thank you.
We have still got some minutes for a final question or a final remark as well, before we leave you to enjoy the sunny, at least in the Netherlands, sunny Friday afternoon.
We just had hail here, and
Rain.
I was muting the phone because of that. Mike, yeah.
Okay, so I started this webinar with saying I feel a little bit guilty of spoiling your Friday afternoon. That was more or less in vain.
Yeah.
Okay, so if there's no more question, thank you all for your attendance. And I really hope that you like this kind of interactive and media kind of setup for this webinar. Please, because I see there are a lot of national school heads, representatives, or presidents even present in this call, please inspire all the members that you have, so we can really start a movement with NEMESIS, or at least social innovation education. So from us, to call it more or less from a Eurovision perspective, from Noordwijk, the Netherlands, thank you very much for your attendance, and hope you enjoy your lovely weekends.
Thank you, Fred. Arrivederci. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Fred. Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.